This video will be based on my speculation of possible incidences surrounding the 13th of November 2022, working with the information released from news media and the press conferences that have been held so far. I will try to determine possibilities. Nothing I say is fact unless I state that a situation was confirmed by police officers. It has been stated by police that this crime is believed to be an isolated, targeted attack. How can police officers believe that an attack is isolated and targeted if they don't have a suspect in custody that admits or makes them believe this was an isolated, targeted incident? There are a couple of things in a crime scene that can indicate that the events of a crime were targeted. A, the amount of time a perpetrator focused on one victim. The belief that the perpetrator focused more time on one victim compared to the others could be indicated in a number of ways. One, through overkill, which is excessive use, treatment, or action. Overkill could have been evident on one victim and not on the others. When overkill is used to describe a crime, the crime is usually characterized by a heat of passion, extensive hatred towards the victim, or an especially sadistic perpetrator. The use of overkill on one victim compared to 3 others at the same crime scene can indicate a targeted attack on one victim compared to the others. Whether this targeted attack was conducted because of hatred, passion, or obsession with the victim is unknown. Something that can also indicate a focus on one victim compared to others could also be indicated by the surrounding scene of the crime. For example, if a note was left in the room with one victim that indicated the perpetrator's targeted mindset. If one of the 4 victims was tied up or gagged, this could show that the perpetrator targeted this victim more than the others, because tying up or gagging a victim often means that you plan to spend more time with them before they are to be killed, which could indicate that the tied up or gagged victim was in fact the perpetrator's main target. If one of the victim's rooms was ransacked and not the other rooms, this may also indicate a targeted attack. If this was a targeted attack, and it is obvious to police officers that 1 or 2 of the victims was the sole purpose for the perpetrator to be there, I believe it would be safe to speculate that A, there was something at the crime scene that indicated a specific victim or victims was the target of the perpetrator. B, I think it is also safe to speculate that the perpetrator is especially heinous because he didn't just murder his target, but multiple targets. It is possible that the perpetrator either knew there were more people living in the house and planned to kill the occupants, or the perpetrator found other occupancies in the house while searching for his targeted victim, or it is possible that he knew where his targeted victim was located and knew that there were other people in the house, in which case he incapacitated the others in the home in order to spend more time with his targeted victim. Now I will try to do some suspect speculation For me, the best way to start suspect speculation is by starting with the victims and the victims' timeline. The victims. Information about the victims based on police reports and news reports. Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Conkells, Zaina Kernodle, and Madison Mogen. All four were college students at the University of Idaho. The three women lived at the residence. Ethan Chapin was spending the night with his girlfriend, Zaina Kernodle. Two of the women, Zaina Kernodle and Madison Mogen, worked at a local restaurant, Mad Creek, where they served customers. Kaylee Concaves and Madison Mogen were also friends from the same high school. Madison Mogen was set to graduate in December 2022. Victims' timelines, as reported by police so far. Ethan and Zaina are believed to have attended a party between 8 and 9 p.m. on Saturday, November 12th. Police have not yet said anything so far on the missing 5-hour gap, but police believe that Ethan and Zaina arrived at the King Road residence before or about 1:45. The same night, Madison Mogen and Kaylee Conkells were reported to be at a local club between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. At 1:40 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, Kaylee and Maddie are seen ordering food at a walk-up food truck. It isn't said when they are known to leave the food truck, but police stated that the individuals were given a ride home. A reporter that drove the distance stated that the drive from the food truck to the house took about 3 minutes. This time period indicates that it is possible for Madison and Kaylee to leave the food truck in a vehicle and be home around 1:45. Police have stated that all victims are believed to be in the King Road house by 1:45 a.m. I do not believe this means that they all arrived at the house at the same time. I just believe there is some verification that the police have to indicate that this is in fact the most likely scenario. So, who could have done this? Well, we know one thing for sure. The person who did this is a very sick individual. Anybody who can take another human's life, let alone 4 human lives, has to be a very depraved person. Who could this person be? Well, there are really 2 answers to that question. A person who is known to all, some, or an individual that lived in the King Road house. This group of people of interest would include coworkers, ex-partners, friends, roommates, classmates, teachers, possible neighbors, relatives, and a person who is known to one or all of the residents, someone who might not necessarily communicate with the residents, but is known for behavior that is unfavorable, such as a stalker. B, a person who is someone who is unknown to the victims or any individual who resided in the house. This group of suspects include neighbors, classmates, strangers, customers at work. If it is to be believed that this is in fact a targeted murder, the perpetrator would most likely be comfortable with the home and know the occupancies inside. It is highly unlikely that someone followed Madison and Kaylee home from the bar. It's unlikely that a person who drove Madison and Kaylee home was the perpetrator either. I also believe it is highly unlikely that some stranger followed the women home and decided to commit these acts. Why do I believe this? Police have reported that calls to Kaylee's boyfriend went unanswered from 2:26 a.m. to 2:52 a.m. These calls were made to Kaylee's boyfriend from both Kaylee and Madison's phone. It is highly unlikely that multiple calls would be made between a time period by multiple phones to the same person if the owners of those phones were incapacitated or calling for help during an attack. It's safe to speculate that these phone calls weren't placed in a panic, but it is more likely that the women were alive, safe, and communicating with each other during the time those phone calls were placed. So, if a person did follow Madison and Kaylee home, they would have waited outside nearly 2 hours to attack the occupants of the home. This would have most likely caused reports of a suspicious person lurking about. This person would have also had no prior knowledge of the home, no knowledge of alarm systems, dogs, video recording devices, no knowledge of how to navigate through the home, etc. If this person did follow them home, they would most likely be carrying a knife and a flashlight on them, often, which might be something you would expect to be a tip that someone would call in. It is also possible that if a perpetrator did follow them home, the person could have waited and grabbed a knife, flashlight, gloves, etc., and came back. The person who drove them home would know their location and would obviously be a person the police would like to speak to. But again, the driver would have had to decide to come back to the house to attack the women. If either of these scenarios are to be believed, the perpetrator would more than likely kill again if they were not apprehended. And it is likely that this wouldn't have been their first time attacking someone. It is possible that the perpetrator is an acquaintance or someone who knew one or all of the occupancies at the King Road house. If this were the case, then it would be easier to speculate if we did know who the targeted victim was. But as of now, we can only speculate as to who and why there may have been a targeted victim among the 4 victims. Speculation of possible people of interest. Zaina Kernodle's ex. Now, I don't know if Zaina Kernodle even has an ex. And if she does, I don't even know where he would reside or who he is. But if she did, and Zaina and Ethan were specifically targeted, then maybe her ex could be looked into further. It's possible that she did have an ex, and the ex was a jealous person. It's also possible that the ex knew of or had been in the residence. The ex could possibly be holding a grudge against other occupants of the home. It is possible that if there was an ex, he could believe that Madison and Kaylee played a role in his and Zaina's breakup. It is also possible that he felt hatred towards Ethan for dating Zaina and hatred towards Zaina for rejecting him. Other possible suspects: co-workers, classmates, or neighbors. I lump these all in the same category because most likely these people are acquaintances or more friendly towards the victims. This group of suspects can be considered to having varying levels of knowledge about the victims, so I will break this category into two separate groups. Group A of co-workers, classmates, customers, neighbors, etc. will be acquaintances. Although these people may not know someone personally, they are in a position to become creepily, overly acquainted with someone. This category of people is close enough to the victims to gather knowledge about them through means of eavesdropping, obsessive research, through knowing someone's first and last name, and other obsessive stalker-like behavior. For example, a classmate or a co-worker would be able to find out a first and last name of a stalking victim fairly easy, which could lead them to doing research on social media. Classmates and coworkers can also use eavesdropping as a way to gain information like whereabouts someone lives, where someone works, etc. A coworker could easily get a hold of someone's work schedule. A neighbor would find it easy to observe the person who is the object of their obsession. A neighbor has close access to a person's personal life, who goes in and out of the home, who lives in the home, what vehicle people in the home drive, what time people usually arrive home, etc. Customers have the least amount of access to knowledge, but if a customer is friendly enough and charming enough, they may be able to get information they are seeking. A customer can also figure out a person's schedule if it's a consistent enough schedule. A customer could also find an opportunity to leave before the object of their obsession does, so they can follow them home. Group B of coworkers, classmates, customers, neighbors, etc., who are considered friends. The information that a stranger can get about you is scary, but even scarier are the people you trust who you don't expect to fear. These people of interest are much more obvious targets for interview by police. Some of these people have been friendly with the occupancies of the King Road home and have even been invited over to spend time in the home. Group B of co-workers, classmates, etc. would have inside access to the home and feel more comfortable inside the house. Group B may know that there is no security system in the home. Group B may also know who the occupancies of the house are. Group B may also have inside knowledge as to door access codes, doors left open, extra hidden keys, etc. Group B could also have access to the victim's home key so as to steal it and make a copy of it. And both Group A and Group B, co-workers, classmates, etc., police would be looking for A, unrequited affections of love, B, odd obsessive behaviors towards a victim or household members, C, a falling out of friendship or relationship. D, a deep hatred or disdain towards one or all of the victims. E, or any other possible motive one could have to harm one or all of the victims. This is a truly sad and horrific case. Cases where the perpetrator is unknown to the victims are a lot harder to solve, just because at least you have a starting point of who knows the victims or who the victims know and people that you can talk to and rule out and everything. But a person who just, a serial killer who just comes in and kills people it's a lot different. I hope they catch the people who did this. It's really intense case. I know there's a lot that the police officers have to go through. Hopefully there's something out there that this killer messed up on. And I hope he's caught as soon as possible. 4 young people just... It doesn't make sense that 4 young people aspiring to do something with their lives are just gone. I thank God that the roommates, 2 of the roommates survived. It would be mind-blowing to find out that they had something to do with this, but hopefully that's not the situation. My condolences to the families of each one of these individuals who the world has lost. May we all find justice, and may those 4 people rest in peace.